Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy CIZZ, aka Collis, which for the second week in a row I've said that. So AKA means also known as, but really my real name Collis, and it should be AKA CIZZ. Anyways, y'all know what it is. Voices of Value podcast. We are live at Leo Moreno Jr. Boxing Club in Overland Park. And you know what it is. If your kids ain't got hands, you ain't got hands, your auntie ain't got hands, come to Leo Moreno Jr. Boxing Club. You went to the grocery market last week and somebody took the last piece of salmon and you didn't know what to do about it because you kind of wanted to square up with them because you was reaching, but they reached faster than you and snatched it out your hand and you wanted to dink dink, but you was like, wait, I ain't got the dink dink hands. Leo Moreno Jr. Boxing Club. I would keep going, but I'm going to let y'all chill, man. Look, so as I tell you every week, we are back at it again with another fire guest. I've yet to lie to you yet. Today, we are introducing Sadie Davis, one of the best real estate agents here in Kansas City, Missouri. She may not say that, but the numbers show it. Look, we could pull the photos up and put them on the screen right now. You know, we got #1 certificates. I don't know if it was in like October. It might be different this month, but I know at one point she was number 11 in the region or something like that, or in Missouri, #1 in this Kansas City area, and then she was #1 out of like 13,000. Look, we gonna jump into all that. All you need to know is I only bring top tier real estate agents on this show. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, Sadie.
I am Sadie Davis, and I'm with the Real Estate Fam with RE/MAX Elite Realtors. And I finished 2023 top 2% in the Kansas City area, which is 13,000 agents.
Hell yeah. See, there we go. Throw a few more statistics out there. I know you don't want to brag, but go ahead, brag real quick. You know, I know I was saying something about some other statistics. What are some other numbers you've hit in terms of #1, #2, #5, #11, anything top 20? Go ahead and share.
So that stat was based off selling 46 houses last year and a little over 9 million in volume. Just in case the public doesn't know, the average agent sells 6 houses a year. So
and you did how many?
46.
Goddamn.
46 houses. I was top like 11 at some point. You were right in the end of November, but yeah, I finished top 2%. So.
Hell yeah. I love that. Well, first off, congratulations on that. We're going to dive into how you got from, you know, I know at one point you was like working the desk at a car dealership or something, and we're going to dive into all that. And now you out here, you know, not that it's all about competition, but you out here fucking 5-6xing what people, the amount of volume people are doing out here. And it's not an easy game either. Mm-hmm. Like it's not, I came in here and I had, you know, somebody give me, $20,000 to put in Facebook ads. Nah, this is all off the muscle. So we're going to dive into some of the strategies, some of the, hard work, the groundwork you've had to do to achieve these type of numbers. But before we do that, if we were to pull out your, life resume, or if we just pull out your resume, what would we learn about you, Sadie? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? What were some of your early interests? Did you go to college? Like, run us through your, general life resume.
Yeah. So I went to William Chrisman High School. I grew up really in the Independence area. We traveled and moved almost every year, but majority was in Independence. So I went to William Chrisman High School. In high school, I wanted to be an architectural engineer because I wanted to design houses, do blueprints, all that jazz, and realized math was not my thing whatsoever, was not happening. So then I transitioned to nursing. So I did what a lot of high schools offer, where they have half a day at the nursing program and then half a day at the school. Mm-hmm. So I did that and graduated a semester early because I was ready to get the fuck out of there.
Mm-hmm. As we all were.
And had the intentions to go to college, but right after graduating early, got an opportunity at the car dealership. So I started there and then decided I was not going to go to college because it was just not worth it. So I stayed at the car dealership for 5 years. And then when I maxed out on money there, I was like, this is not going to be an option. I have to figure something else out. So I met with a couple of real estate agents, and then that's kind of how I got into this.
I love it. And there's so much to dive in there. So let's start at the ground zero. So do you have any siblings, cousins, aunties? Let's talk about, like, as much as you're comfortable, of course, let's talk about the family dynamics. What did parents do for work? Like, does that have anything to do with your interest in homes or building homes or real estate or investing? Just run us through a little bit of the family dynamics, any siblings that were in the space, things like that.
Yeah, so I've got way too many damn siblings to even count. Literally, stepbrothers from all different sides of the family.
Yeah.
So lots of siblings. My mom was also in the car industry at the time, so that's kind of how I got into that car industry. No one in my family was really involved in real estate, other than my uncle, which is one of my biggest inspirations. He isn't like a real estate agent or anything. He just has a bunch of rental properties, and I was like, that's what I want to do. That's where the lifetime money for your family for years to come is at. So he was just blowing past me. Like every time I talked to him, he had a new one. So he got up to 8, and then I'm like, okay, like I need to do this. Obviously, like the proof is in the pudding. So that's around the time that I got into real estate. And then once you get into real estate, you just realize there's so many opportunities. Like real estate is such a broad term. There's so many different ways that you could go in real estate. So he was definitely one of my inspirations. And then the person that I met with, he also runs a huge, really successful team in Kansas City. His name's Sean Ashley, and he runs a Sean Ashley team, and he was killing it at real estate too. So I grew up around them at the softball fields with my mom and all his kids. So met with him, and he told me the possibilities, and I was like, yeah, screw this. My salary at the car dealership was $36,000 the last year that I was there. The most I ever made was $42,000. And I just realized that that's not going to support me for a lifetime for what I want for my family. So when I heard the numbers and the opportunity and the freedom of real estate, I was like, I just have to do this.
I'm sold. And you mentioned softball right there. Were there any sports that you were interested in early on in high school or as a kid? Like what were some of the, I don't know, activities or hobbies you were interested in that kind of helped develop your character trait, helped you build friendships, things like that early on in life? What were some things you were involved in?
Yeah, I was involved in a lot. I was not the best whatsoever, but I ran track. I ran the 4x8. I was the anchor on the 4x8. So I guess you could say I was fast for long distance, but was not fast because I was running long distance. And I also played basketball.
I remember that.
Played C team, but it still counted.
Still
Chris
counts.
says it doesn't count if you don't play varsity or JV.
See,
but
Chris is an asshole.
It counts. And I played softball, and I think that was pretty much it. I played basketball and softball pretty much my whole life. Got
you. And what about sports? Do you feel like and the reason I'm asking this question is a lot of people that come on here have a history in athletics, and I think that there's a strong tie between athletics and success in careers. This podcast is all about business and entrepreneurship, so at the end of the day, success in business, but just any role you have, if you really played some type of sport in life, most people picked up a few lessons or a few, things that kind of shape their character trait or their character that kind of transitioned over into whatever they're successful at now. So when you think about the sports you participated in growing up, and it may not even be necessarily the sport itself, but the coaches you interacted with, what are some lessons you think have like carried over into, let's just say, real estate?
Yeah, I think that I had 3 coaches that I really think of off the top of my head that were
Shout them out.
Huge. Coach Scorpio Horn, Willie
Shout out
Horn.
Scorp, we want you on the podcast. Willie, I want you on the podcast too. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. And Tyler Schmidt. Tyler Schmidt is more like just super impactful. Like there was a couple hard times I had in high school, and he was always there. It was a teacher that you just went to and spilled the beans to, and he just listened and helped in any way he can. He was also the mediator between all the girls' basketball drama. Like everybody's fighting. We all have to meet in his class, talk through it. He's just inspiration in that aspect. Whereas Coach Horn, both of them are so driven, and they just push you and push you and push you, sometimes past your limits, but I think it was really good. I remember one day on the football field, we were doing a little snake with the football boys and strength and conditioning training during the summer, and I almost fainted, and Coach Scorpio thought he killed me. I literally got picked up and taken to the hospital. It was so bad. And he felt so bad because he literally thought that I was going to die. So we got through that, and it was all fun. But they're really, really motivating coaches, and they just teach you that you can keep going. And I think that has helped a lot in my career currently, because there's no limit. Like there is no stopping. You just keep on going and keep on going until you're where you want to be, I guess.
Absolutely. I love that. Shout out Coach Scorpio Horn and Willie Horn. I think both of them, when they came, I mean, really, every school has students that are struggling. Every school has, there's plenty of programs in terms of just sports programs that have struggled and never really won or done well.
Yep.
But forget the wins and the losses, like the character development that they were able to do with a lot of the students there during their years there. And I'm sure that they continue to do at the organizations they're at now. I think Willie, I believe, is the head coach at Lee West starting this year or last year, I think. If not, definitely defensive or offensive coordinator. And then I know Scorp has kind of jumped around Missouri Western, Kip Academy. So long story short, shout out to the Horn family. But they knew how to like make you trusted them. You trusted them. And because they kept it real, like they weren't out here trying to lie to you. They weren't out here trying to act better than or try to be like, I'm the authority in this room, so you got to listen to me. They just kept it real. Like, listen, man, I was once where you were at. I used to think the way you used to think, and this is where that's going to get you.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to keep it real with you, but I'm also not going to play games. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could leave.
Yeah, they bettered a lot of students in that aspect. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so shout out to them. So you finish high school, you decide, fuck nursing, fuck college. I'm going to just stay in this role because, I assume it's because you felt like there was some opportunity to grow in that role. Is that, or was it just like, man, fuck school? Like, what was like the thought process there at like 18? Are you like, okay, I already got a job. I feel like I could probably grow here. I like the team I'm working with at this car dealership. Maybe I'll just rock it out here. Or were you like, fuck school, I'm going to just stay here? Which one?
So there kind of a little bit of both. There was a lot of opportunity in the car industry to grow. They were building a new dealership that I was going to get transferred to. So there was a lot of opportunity. And then also I was just over school. I'd hate drama. I hate girls and drama at school. And I just did not look forward to that. Although I knew college would be a different experience in high school. But I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want to do the work, quite honestly. And then I seen so many people that were my age that were paying for college, but their careers were going to pay less than what I was already making. I felt like I was already making a lot of money for my age then. So I just didn't feel like the money would pay off to pay for a career and make less than I would.
That's kind of how I was thinking now. I ain't going to lie. Your boy's still out here struggling, but we work, little by little, day by day. But I think that's like something that more students need to reflect on. To be honest, a lot of y'all, if you're listening right now, I'm not telling you don't go to college, but think about, why are you going to college? Is it because the lifestyle, the career that you really love and are passionate about requires you to go to school and you feel pretty committed to that right now? Cool, go to school. If it's because your parents is bullying you to go to school or else you're going to get kicked out, brother, go get a job and get an apartment. Honestly, you're going to learn a lot from that experience. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be a lot of stress. It's going to be a lot of pressure. But, like they say, what they say, pressure turns diamonds into stone. Fuck the quote. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I
feel like it's kind of just like society expects you to. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. What I do like though is William Chrisman had me come speak to their business students a couple weeks ago. And they're really teaching that college is not the only option now. It was not a thing when we were there. Yeah. But a part of the business academy now, there's so many different trade school options and careers like real estate where it's not even a trade school. You just go take a class for a week and then you go test. And if you pass the test, you get to come into real estate. So they're supporting more career paths now than just go to college, get a degree. Yeah,
and I think they were just starting to integrate that as we were leading. And I think they call it at the time they called it pathways. I think, and I really love that. I hope they continue to dive into that and that it's not like when like teachers used to teach classes that really were low key like. There was a lot of benefits there, but because it didn't feel like the traditional math, English, I don't know, like personal finance, I felt like I could have learned a lot more and it could have been taken a lot more serious, but it really just felt like, all right, get on the computer, read these things.
Yep.
I'm going to read this.
Coach Scorpio Horn for that. We watched a lot of Shark Tank.
Oh yeah. Hey, shout out to Shark Tank though, but that's crazy. No, I had a coach. I was at Truman. Oh, I remember RIP Coach Gane. So he was cool. Like, he's a cool teacher. But at the same time, I feel like I didn't have Coach Gane. I was at Chrisman because I was in the class with Hey, well, shout out Mills, man. Shout out my boy Mills. Shout out Mia Wiley. Sorry. Anyways, I'm just out here having what is it called? Nostalgia about school. But either way, we had a personal finance class, and I felt like we could have really been learning a lot, but it really felt like, here, watch this video, and then just do what you want. Just stay quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but then in math and English class, they talking the whole goddamn time, which is cool and all. But I just feel like I hope that with Pathways and how that they really take it serious and
it
really
seems
try
a
to
lot
invest.
more hands-on.
Perfect. Good. So. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, man. There's so many trade school options, and you can knock that shit out in like a year, go and get paid more than most kids are going to get paid out of college. And that doesn't even have to be your end career. It can be your financial resource to invest in your business or invest in other opportunities you're interested in without going to school for 4 or 5 years and coming out making more money. So either way, explore your career pathways, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. So what dealership were you at, and we got to bring the family into this. Were you dating Chris at the time? Because anyone who listens to this podcast and knows Chris Redmond knows that for a good while he was in the car industry and just exited that, which we'll get into that here shortly. But we know Chris to be car guy for the mobile phone guy at Metro, and then the car guy. That's pretty much the two things. So I guess, when did you guys start dating? When did you guys are really into building wealth and into personal growth. I know he's been like that for a while. I haven't gotten to know you as well as I know Chris, but nonetheless, when did you guys meet, and did that have a role to play in your decision to be in the car industry for those 6 years? So
we actually met in high school. Okay. My sophomore year is when we got together. So we're coming up on 9 years together, believe it or not.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah. We met there. I started at Cable Dahmer, and he was working at Metro PCS at the time. And then he decided he was going to try car sales. He didn't really know, but he knew he was really good at selling phones. So he figured he'd be really good at it. And the phone thing was just kind of exhausting. He was like the district manager over 12 stores, and it was just, or however many stores it was just too much. So he tried it and was like, I don't know if this is for me. He wasn't really getting the right training. We were both at Cable Dahmer at the time. And so he took a break and then decided, I'm going to give it another shot and really give it a try this time. So he went back, and the same trainer was there, but gave him the time of day and got him trained up really well. And he was one of the top performing salespeople for multiple months. And then he transitioned into a sales manager role at the Cadillac store. And then he did that for almost 5 years. So we both did it for about 5 years.
And what year did you exit the car industry?
2021.
And then he just exited like last year or 6 months ago?
Yeah, about 6 months
recent.
ago. Maybe
awesome.
A little longer.
So 2021, you are realizing this is not going to pan out as, the career pathway is going to take me to the direction I want to go. And at the time, I believe you already had one of your children already, the older, what's his name?
Tatum.
Shout out Tatum.
Yep. So he would have been like 2 at the time.
Yeah. So you're probably like, all right, I got my kids. I probably want to have more kids. Hey, 41,000 ain't going to do it, my boy. Yeah. And you're also exposed to your uncle over the years. You're exposed. So how did you get in what made you reach out to, I think you said Sean Ashley, what made you be like, I want to meet with these real estate agents to see if this is a career I want to go down? Was it like just a conversation came up and then you started really considering it? Or were you sitting there at your job and you're like, man, I should try real estate. Let me hit up the people I know. How did that happen?
So Cable Dahmer pissed me off, and my hours had to be changed because of my son's school hours. So I was working less than 40 hours a week. They didn't like that. We kind of had some discrepancies. They didn't like that I was not 100% doing that job. They did not like me doing both. And I felt like I would be holding myself back if I allowed that to affect my decision. So one day I just went in and I don't even know how much I should be saying on here, but one day I went in and I was like doing my work, and the next thing you know, I get called into an office and they tried to write me up, and I didn't agree with the write-ups. And so I called Chris and he said, pack your shit and get out. It's time. So went downstairs, packed my stuff and left. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew that I wanted to do real estate, but I had just gotten my license in January. This was in November of the same year. So I really had only had my license for like 10 months. I'd only sold 9 houses. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Sorry, let's pause. Ladies and gentlemen, if you remember at the beginning of the podcast where she said the average agent sells 6 houses a year, this is her first year, by the way, and she was still working another job. And then she talked about, I only had my license for like 10 months. I had only sold 9 houses. Ma'am, you already sold more than half the motherfuckers in the industry.
It's just a mindset thing.
Continue.
So, at the time we also knew that we were pregnant with Alana, and we had not told anybody yet though, because we had wanted it for so long and it took a minute to come. So we just want to make sure we were in like the safe zone. So we didn't tell anybody. So that was terrifying, leaving a steady job where I have health insurance and I know for sure money's coming in, and to just transition to that. So I didn't have any option to fail. So I kind of just had to go for it.
I love it. And so this go for it mindset, what were you quit, it's the day after you quit. What was like your first thought process? Like, what are you going to do? Like when you hit the ground running, what did you hit the ground running doing?
So my very first thing was setting up, this year was already almost over, 2021. So it was like, how am I going to make my first full-time year the max that I can make it? So I don't buy leads or anything. There's a lot of successful agents that do, and that works for them. It just isn't my marketing or my business plan. So I just poured it into my, what we call a sphere of influence, or an SOI, really, really big. So I started doing a lot of monthly programs, referral type programs, monthly giveaways, pop buys. Most people are like, Popeye's chicken? No, not Popeye's chicken. Popeye is like...
Sorry, I was confused. What the fuck you talking about, Popeye's chicken?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so most people think Popeye's automatically because that's what it sounds like. But a pop buy is when you go to your sphere, so your family or friends that know, like you, or trust you, that if they were to do a business transaction in the next 6 months, they would think of you. And that's just a small gift that you just place on their porch, and then you just text them and say, hey, I just popped by with a small gift, check your porch. So I really built my client base big time by that, and just getting in front of the people that I already know. And then word of mouth worked magic in 2022. I sold 36 houses, and my income went just through the roof.
You were like, this looks different than one.
Yeah.
This looks different than what I remember.
Yeah. So I'll just be totally transparent. And at Kia, my last year there, since my hours were a little shortened because of kids, it was 36,000. I ended at 2022 at 195.
Wow.
So the opportunity.
Pause and clap. Behind the camera, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you clap too. Clap, drop clap emojis in the comment section, please. Sorry, continue.
So yeah, that was really eye-opening, and what really drove me, I was like, okay, I really made the right decision. And now my time's in my court, whereas before, your kid gets sick and you're like, oh my God, I have to call in. Everyone's going to be so pissed off. Like the next day you go to work, it's just awkward because everybody's mad because you called in and your boss is mad and yada, yada,
you feel guilty. That adds on stress throughout your day. Now you're a little anxious while you were going to work, which fucks up the mood already.
Yeah. So this was just a whole different thing. Now I get to choose my schedule. I get to go to all my kids' games because now my schedule is my priority. So I get to schedule my day around whatever I have going on.
Now, I want to do something quick. Dive into what you just said there when you said, my schedule is my priority. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure you can attest to this considering you have 2 kids, plus you're building a business and doing great this year as well. I think a lot of people are like, I want to quit my job because I'm going to have more control over my schedule and my life. And then they quit their job and they don't take accountability over their schedule. Yes, their schedule is open and free, but now what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
So now we out here just broke. You just out here broke, no job. Your schedule's free. You can go see your kids play basketball. You can take your kids to their game, but that gas money is going to be a struggle to pay for. You know what I'm saying? So talk a little bit about how you have managed your schedule as somebody who is working in an industry that allows you flexibility in that space. So just talk about schedule, calendar, like how you plan your life in the best ability that you can.
So a lot of people think I'm going to be an entrepreneur because then I get all the time in the world. You don't really gain time. You just get to choose what you do with your time. And as an entrepreneur, it is so self-discipline is so important. And that is something I struggle with, because if you get up one morning and you don't want to get up, you don't have to get up. But to make money, you got to get up. So the way that I was kind of able, like some structure, is Tatum has to be at school at 8:50 every day. So once you're up and out of the house, it's no problem. You're already up and at it. So I took him to school because Chris went to work at 6:30 in the morning. So it was just me getting the kids ready every morning. So I would have to get up, take him to school, and then I'm already out. So then I would go to the office every single day. Now that Chris is home more often, because he doesn't have to go into an office at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's just a tad bit harder, more self-discipline for sure, because it's like, oh, he's at home, so I don't need to go in the office today. So we've kind of had to set some like boundaries in place. Like, okay, these are going to be my office days. So no matter what's going on, I'm at the office. Because also now that we've gotten into investments, that's so fun. I'm like, I could go work at the flip property all day, but that doesn't help me sell houses. So that's been a struggle to figure out for sure. Self-discipline on your schedule, big time.
So we'll talk about the calendar just a little bit longer, and then we're going to double back to what you did when you hit the ground running. I feel like there's some value in there for up and coming real estate agents. And to be honest, if there's other people in an industry where it requires you to just market yourself in general, what you probably have to share will be helpful. So, but before we do that, what are you, a Google Calendar girl, a iCalendar girl? Like, how are you, like, try to get really strategic and detailed in how you're managing your schedule? Do you put it in a calendar? Do you have reminders on your phone? Are you using Asana or some technology on your laptop to like track deals and who you're supposed to follow up with and leads? Run us through, how are you like literally managing your life from a let's just say digital or written standpoint, so people can get inspired on how they could do the same?
So the truth is, I'm a complete hot fucking mess.
There we go. I love the honesty. I love the honesty.
Yeah. Complete hot mess around here, especially with 2 kids. So although I've tried to put processes in place, it doesn't always work out that way.
Of course.
Huge help. I have an admin. So I have an employee that's with me all day, every day. Normally she works from home, but so we use a Google Calendar, transfers over to my iPhone. So any appointments or anything like that's in there. And then as far as like document deadlines, stuff like that, that's all on my admin.
Yeah.
She just texted me today, was like, reminder on 39th Street, we have an inspection notice. So I got to tell her what I want to request for inspections. So as far as that, almost every coach on God's earth is going to tell you time blocking is so important. And it's so, so important. I don't do it. I just can't get myself to do it. I'm not self-disciplined enough to be able to sit down and be like, okay, I'm only going to do this for this hour, because my phone's going to ring or another agent's going to call me or a client. And I haven't gotten to that point where I'm like, okay, that can wait.
Or Tatum's going to throw a basketball at your head.
Yep. Alana's going to be tackling me. Literally, I'm on FaceTime with the girls the other night. And next thing you know, she just tackles me right over my head. Like, what are you doing? Where'd you even come from? But,
oh, Lord. I love it.
So yeah, long story short, I'm a complete hot mess, and we just go with the flow.
Yeah. And I think it's important. To understand your season of life as well. I think like there'll be a season of life where you're really locked in, utilizing a calendar. Things are locked in. You're time blocking. Your alarm goes off. You know you're going to be here. You're using systems and processes to follow up with leads, and you have automatic text messages that are going to. All this is locked in. And then you have a newborn, and then like everything flips and things, you have to shift everything, and it doesn't function that well. Now the newborn's 2 years old, and you're trying to get back into your old systems and processes. And then, there's I'm just bringing up random shit, but housing crisis, you know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck, like, so understand the season of life you're in and make the best of what you can, which is what you're doing and what you got. And at the end of the day, you're going to know when you're showing up for yourself and when you're not showing up for yourself, however that looks. So,
you do for sure. Cause we had a realization of that at the end of last year. I sold 46 houses, but I could have sold a lot more than that. The last fourth quarter, I was like not on my game whatsoever. So I was used to consistently selling 4 to 6 houses a month. And then the last quarter I sold maybe 1, or some months I sold 0. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I doing? And Chris is like, what are you doing? Like, although I sold 46 houses, I'm not doing that right now. And so there was a huge realization there where he's like, all these other agents, which the market slowed down, it did 100%. So I have to give myself a little bit of credit, but I could have done more, and I came just short of my goals. And if I wouldn't have slowed down in the fourth quarter, I would have made them. So,
but again, on the flip side, got to know your season of life. Who knows that your body wasn't telling you, look, hey, chill out for a second. Like you need to focus on the kids, or you need to focus on your husband, or you need to focus on yourself. More importantly, self first, then the kids, then the husband. But you know what I'm saying? Like, who knows where you were at in that space? Like you say, you got to give yourself grace. But again, like, you know, just for you, for me, for anybody listening, we got to reflect on the season of life we're in. And then you also got to keep it real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, could I have done more? Yes. Did I need a break? Yes. Did I need a break? No. Could I have done more? Yes. So now you can keep it real with yourself. Like, all right, I was a lazy asshole, or I wasn't lazy. I made that choice because it was the best choice for my health and for my family at that time. So understanding your season of life, keeping it real with yourself. That's why it becomes important to have like, you use the word sphere of influence. I kind of think about that being like my clique, like my crew, who are my people I'm chopping it up with and who are feeding me, inspiration, business advice, tips, things like that. Like, it might be your admin, it might be Chris, it might be other friends of yours, but that's where they come in, like keeping it, hey, bro, you've been chilling lately, you've been playing video games, and you know what I'm saying? So I want to double back though. So you hit the ground running, you were talking about pop buys, you were talking about sphere of influence. Let's just start with one strategy. So what's one strategy that you've used, and it might be the pop buys, it might be going, just one strategy that has helped you increase the amount of leads that are coming through your Facebook Messenger or in your comment section or your text. What's one thing you've done, and we'll explore that.
Okay, I think my number one source would be social media for sure. So like I said, I'm a complete hot mess. I show all of that. So I'm not fake on social media or, oh, look at me, I just did this today. No, it's literally like, oh, look at me, I'm stuck on the side of the highway because my dumb ass just ran out of gas. Or,
that is ladies and gentlemen, if you end up following her, literally that's a bi-monthly for multiple years thing. Like, I swear to God, I see that once
a quarter.
Okay, we'll go once a quarter. My bad. But definitely frequent enough for you to recognize that that's a Sadie thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you follow Sadie, that's a Sadie thing.
I'm not too proud of that one, but
hey, it is what it is.
Stuff like that. Or like, I've literally lost my keys and me and the kids had to Uber to school and then Uber to my mom's job because I couldn't find my keys. I post all of that. So I'm just real and raw with my people to where they're literally seeing my hot mess express work every single day. Yeah. One day I dropped Chris off at home and his truck has pushed to start and he didn't leave me the keys. So I got all the way to Walmart. Now I'm stuck at Walmart. My truck was parked somewhere else. Now he's stuck at home. Can't come get me. My sister had to come save me. So I'm just really, really open. And then I also share all my results with my people. So social media, they not only see into my life, they see my results. They see what I do on a daily basis. So every time I show a house, I think this is really, really, really valuable for new agents. I've been slacking lately, but every single time I show a house, I'm posting on my story. Not on my news feed. You don't want to annoy people. That's just too much. On my story. Then I'm also posting every single time I'm at an inspection on my story. Then every single time I'm at an appraisal. And then every single time I get a house under contract, I post on my news feed. Every time I sell a house on closing day, I post on my news feed. So that's 5 different touches for one house, all in one. And that just helps me stay in front of a lot of people when you have 400 to 500 views on your story every single day. The one and only nearly $1 million client I got was for a story. I went to a broker open. It was $1 million house. It was gorgeous. Posted literally a clip of the living room. And they're like, oh my gosh, how much is that? I'm shopping. And I'm like, what? Like, it was just somebody I went to high school with. And turns out they were pre-approved for over $1 million. And we put a deal together and we made something happen on a new build for them. But it sounds so silly. And it literally takes 1 second. Every time you pull up to a house, just snap a photo and post it real quick. And it makes a huge difference.
I love that, but I'm a devil's advocate. Say there's an agent out there listening right now and they're like, but I just don't feel comfortable sharing my life. Like, what if people know where I'm going and blah, 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 and my safety? And like, I just don't feel.
I don't care. I show houses with my 2 kids. I do not care. I don't have anybody on my Facebook that I'm worried about. If I was worried about them, they aren't on my Facebook. But there's a social media coach named Jessica Stroud, and she taught me a lot. A lot of that is from Jessica Stroud, and she lives by, you're not a part of the CIA. So your profile, if you want people to know about you, then you need to be on public and you can't worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I love that last part. Like, I think that is the most annoying thing when I'm having conversations with business owners and they're like, I'm just not a social media person.
You have to be.
And then I look at them, I'm like, how do people come to your restaurant or your store? Well, they have to know about us. And how do you plan for them to know about you? Well, they're going to see my sign, right? I'm like, all right, good luck with that. And second off, the majority,
growth plan?
Right. Yeah. And the majority of people, I mean, you know how businesses are nowadays. The majority of people are not opening brick and mortar stores or restaurants. The people are in a lot of businesses that require you to be digitally active because that's really the only way you're going to see you. I might see your signs placed in some grass, but if you want to get access to literally 5 million more people at the snap of a finger, or the potential for 5 million more people at the snap of a finger, you got to be online. You got to be public. You got to share something. And it doesn't have to be everything, but it has to be a lot about, people love seeing that you're active and that you know what you're doing. Like if I see you at an inspection at a house or at a closing or every single day, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna trust her ass because she out here getting, she obviously doing something good.
That's exactly why I keep posting.
It's important. I don't even want to buy a house, and I'll be like, I'll buy. I'm gonna holla at Sadie if I need something in that space, and I don't even want to buy a house. So like that kind of shows you I'm not even in the mindset of thinking about ever buying a home, and I'm just like, shit, I'm gonna fuck with Sadie if I need some real estate, handle deals.
And that's the whole point, is just to stay top of mind. Because as a new agent, nobody knows about you until they know about you. So if you aren't telling people, then they don't know. And I was really, really good at that in the beginning. Just making sure that people knew who I was and what I was doing now.
I love that. Break down SOI a little bit more. So just go a little bit more in depth about what is the sphere of influence, and then how do you leverage them, or how do you tap into them or utilize that community?
Yeah. So what we consider, or what my brokerage would consider an SOI, is anybody, friends or family, that know, like, and trust you. And if they were to think of somebody or refer somebody, or they hear somebody talk about real estate, they're going to throw your name out there. So in my mind, in the very beginning as a new agent, that's literally anybody that doesn't already have an agent. Now that I've been kind of in the business for a minute, I've had to kind of step back and make that a little bit smaller, because I've sold so many houses now that my client base is getting so big. I can no longer do pop buys to all 60 or 70 clients I have, plus all 60 or 70 people that haven't quite used me yet. And it's not that I don't have time for them. I would love their business. It's just that from the pop buy aspect of it, I literally cannot deliver to 300 people. Yeah. So I think that the way that I've tapped into my SOI still to stay consistent with those people that I love that would use me or recommend me, I have a Starbucks referral program. And that is, if you send me a deal, if you send me a person, if you send me an opportunity for business and I talk to them, so they reach out to me, then they get 6 months of free Starbucks. So it's a book called Perk Your Spear by Liz Davidson. She actually outlines the entire program for you and tells you exactly what to do, where to order the cards. And the Starbucks cards actually come like a business card. It has my info on the front. So every single time my people are using it, it's got my name right in front of their face.
That's fuego. Never heard of this before. Yeah.
Yeah, I have people.
Well, I've heard of the referral program because I'm on Facebook and I follow you, but I just haven't heard of this before, the strategy. Interesting.
Yeah, so that helps a lot. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but to people, they're like, okay, yeah, like it's free to them. And a lot of people don't even know, and then they send me one and they get Starbucks and they're like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this because it's literally free Starbucks. So
I'll take a free coffee day on a daily. I mean, for sure. I mean, everybody need it. Okay. So I love that. So number one, when you first got started off, you started thinking about, all right, who are people in my community that, like you said, when it was early on, you was like, hey, look, everybody I kind of know might like me and might trust me. And so are you initially, because obviously you don't have everybody's address, so you can't do pop buys to all of them, right? So is that also messages like a cold DM or a text message or a call? What else are you integrating in there to like get in contact with these people or get in front of them? Or is it just, do you understand my question?
Yeah. So a lot of my SOI is actually people that I'm pretty close with. So majority of them, I kind of had their addresses.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
So I sent out letters when I first started because that's what the real estate brokerage tells you to do. I don't know that it actually does anything. And then just social media was the main. I didn't like individually message anyone. I kind of don't like when people do that to me. So it gets kind of annoying. So I was like, I'm not going to do that to other people.
Absolutely.
So it was really just my presence on social media that kind of made it known to start.
I love it. And so, like you said, real estate has so many different ways to get into the industry or interact or play around in the industry. So you are 3 years into being a real estate agent. Yep. You've had quite the success. You're going to continue to have the success, but you've stepped into another lane similar to your uncle. So let's talk about, what you, Chris, Brandon, I think Brandon, right? I know y'all do some stuff with him. I know I've seen Chris and Chris take a photo recently. So just talk to me about what you guys are doing in the real estate space outside of being an agent. So what are you and Chris doing, and you and some of the rest of your friends in the real estate space doing?
Yeah. So we have another business for investing in real estate. It's called Revitalized Home Buyers KC. So any distressed property or anything, we will purchase it from off market. So that we're not buying like off the MLS or anything like that. These are just people that are in need because they're going to be in foreclosure, or they're a landlord and they don't want to rent anymore, or just an older person who can't take care of the house anymore, somebody that needs to get out of a situation, and we will buy it from them. They can leave it. We don't do any inspections. We just buy it exactly how it is. Then we renovate the property with the intentions typically to sell. We're finally getting to the point where we are transitioning into being able to hold them as rentals. So we just finished a renovation for our first property that's going to be an Airbnb, which is super exciting.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing a project with Brandon Rice, and then we just closed on one with Chris Riss. So that was exciting. That's the picture you see with Chris and Chris. And then we're actually submitting an offer on another one tonight.
Hell yeah.
With my brother, Deshaun Amua. So
let the folks know what he does. I'm sure there's somebody that needs his services that's listening.
He owns Air Summit Heating and Cooling. It's obviously an HVAC and heating company, and they still do like water heaters and stuff like that. But they're a locally family-owned business. They got financing options and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, check them out. So talk to me about the process of finding these deals. So, of course, I see your occasional Facebook post, hey, we're looking for this type of property in this part of town. Like, what happens from that moment on? So you post something like that, or you just put it out into the world that you're looking for a property to buy and renovate. What happens from there? And like, what do those conversations look like? How do you find these leads? How do you finally close it? How do you get somebody to be like, yeah, I'm down to sell this, and I'm down to sell it at this price? Just walk us through that.
So I'm a firm believer, if you don't ask, then you don't know. So a lot of it is just literally asking. Most of ours have been from referrals, from asking on Facebook. So we have one in Independence by Truman High School that we're renovating right now. And that was based off a post that you've seen that said, who has a house for sale? It turned out to be one of Tatum's old school teachers. Her mom, husband passed away a couple years ago. Very unfortunate. But she couldn't maintain the house by herself anymore. And so she just really needed out. She obviously, in real estate, I'm always like, well, let's list it. But that's not an option for everybody. Some people can't deal with the showings, or they need to get out really quick, or something to where they don't have time to wait the 30 days that it takes to close on a house on the market. So in most situations, it's a referral. Somebody that I know knows that now that we do investment properties. And so they just went out of it quick. The one that we're getting ready to submit an offer on, that was the deal, is she knows that it's worth a lot more, but she's willing to take a hit because she doesn't want to go on the market. And so that's one way, referrals. And then another way is through what we would consider a wholesaler, which is somebody that either makes calls all day long, or they hire VAs, which is a virtual assistant, to make calls. It could be a foreclosure list. It could be a vacant house list. It could be an abandoned property list, or city citations. They get these lists, and then they have people who literally just make phone calls all day long. And they may only get 5 answers out of 500 calls, but that's what they do all day long. And then they upcharge us to purchase them. So just to kind of give an example, on the one that we have that we just closed on in Raytown, the wholesaler did all the dirty work. They're the ones who made all the phone calls. They obtained the contract, got the seller to sell it, and then we just paid them an assigner fee of $10,000 to sell it to us. So a lot of wholesalers also buy them and flip them themselves, but there's several big companies that have so many flips going on that they can't do anymore. So then they just in turn wholesale or wholetail them to us, which means
What's the difference? Go ahead.
Yeah, so wholesale means before they even close on the house. So they never actually buy the house. At the title company, at the closing table, it goes from the original seller to the wholesaler to us. They never have to close on it. Wholetail would mean they didn't find a buyer originally before their closing date was with the seller. So now they're going to sell it to us after closing. So they make a little less because they have to pay all the closing fees because they did have to close. But that's the difference between a wholesale and a wholesale. So that's been our source so far, is either a wholesaler who is ready to offload the property or a personal referral of somebody that we know.
I love that. I'd like to transition into essentially being in business with your partner. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people find it to be challenging. A lot of people find it to be exciting. A lot of people find it to be stressful. A lot of people find it to feel revitalizing. So talk to me about, a few months ago when he decided to, exit the car business and come in full time into the real estate business with you. What did that conversation look like? When you, as much as you're comfortable sharing, like, what did you guys have to talk about? What did you guys have to review to be like, all right, this is what we want to do as a family? And then how has the past few months been in terms of like deciding who's going to do what, whose responsibility is what?
So the decision to leave the car dealership was easy for me. I'm like, he worked so much. He didn't get to go to any of Tatum's basketball games. I think he got to go to like one last year because the car dealership world is so demanding. It's so exhausting. And because he was a sales manager, he was the last person there. So we're talking, he leaves the house at 6:30 to be there at 7. And then he's not getting off till 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes. And by that time the kids are already in bed. So we never got to see him. So the decision between being at the car industry and leaving was super easy for me. For him, not so much, because he was going from making good money to now he's strictly only makes a paycheck whenever we sell a house. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, just him getting used to that, him getting used to the self-discipline portion of he doesn't have to get up today. He's very, very self-disciplined though. So for the most part, it's been pretty easy for him. It was just a transition because he had so much free time where he was so used to the chaoticness of the car dealership. You're always go, go, go. And everybody always needs something somewhere. So that was that part of just getting out. Then working together was a whole nother story. We've always like wanted to do this. So it was really fun. And in the beginning, especially like our first couple properties, it was like demo day. So the whole entire family, all of us, and when I say that, just me, Chris, and the kids, would all go and do demo day together. And it was awesome. Tatum loved it, like throwing hammers through walls and stuff. So that part was super fun. And then it was more like the realization, like, oh my gosh, I'm with you every single day. Like, holy cow. So that's when he kind of started to venture and do projects with Chris Rist. And so they've got their own little LLC now. And him and Hanky are trying to find one to do together to where he's still doing what he loves and renovating houses, but to where I'm not involved on every single project, where he kind of has like his own thing, because I am a control freak to the max. Holy moly. I always have been. I'm a perfectionist, and I want to do it myself to where I know it's done correctly. So I had to go out to a work convention in the Bahamas, a cruise, and he was managing it the whole week. So there's a lot of things that I didn't voluntarily let him take over, but I had to because I wasn't in town. So that was like the huge difference in me handling everything versus him taking on a lot because he had to. So when I got back, he was like already doing the things I was used to doing. So it was a lot easier to let him offload some of that. Yeah. Now he's pretty much running the whole business. I'm a lot less involved and just focusing more on real estate. So
I love that. Before we begin to wrap today up, I want you to talk about the most recent property that you're about to utilize, or, that's about to be an Airbnb. Uh-huh. I know you're really excited about this one. Walk us from like when you walked in, the demo, what you changed to where it's at now, like just all the things that you were like, oh, I'm so excited I did this, I added this. I know one of the things a lot of people were commenting on there that they loved, that you also love, was the big ass address on the front, which I thought was cool too. I saw somebody comment something really important, honestly, that I feel like should be highlighted for EMS or emergency services when they're trying to find houses at night. It's a really challenge for them to see
What's
the address?
Yeah.
Look, if your ass is dying, son, and you want them to get there as soon as possible, you don't want them doing roundabouts, y'all should invest in larger numbers for your house. 10-inch numbers. There we go. 10-inch numbers, in which she will share where she found hers. But let's walk day one to today of that property. Take us through it all. How much you buy it for, as much as you're comfortable for. Yeah. Ideally, how much you buy it for. What you guys, when you walked in, what did you guys want to demo and fix up and change up? What did you guys actually end up changing up? How long did it take from zero to now? When
we first looked at the house, the floors were all different levels, all different styles, tile, LVP, real wood floors, and it reeked of dog piss so bad. It was absolutely disgusting. But we were like, this one has a lot of potential, but they were asking too much. So we kind of put all of our numbers together. It didn't need anything major, so we thought. So we did everything like flooring, paint, a brand new kitchen because it was super outdated. And there was a wall that we wanted to remove. Some foundation work that was needed, and then a tree out front that needed to be taken out. So that was like our original like scope of work is what we call it, which just means a detailed list of everything that we plan to do in our budget. So we were able to negotiate the price down. I think they were asking like $150 for it. We negotiated down to $138. So fast forward, we get the house, foundation gets repaired. We then decide that whenever we're ripping out all the bathroom and kitchen, that we need to replumb the whole house because it had galvanized pipe. It was all rusted, broken. Whenever we bought it, there's no inspection. So you're going into it completely blind, and there was no water or utilities on. So we had no idea that the plumbing was screwed. So that was $3,600 up front, out the window. Actually, $2,400 because they gave us a discount to make a good relationship with them going forward. So that was just out the window right up front. So then we're painting, we're doing all these things, and decide we don't like the textures on the wall. If we're going to list this house in this price point, which was about $265 after renovations, then all the textures on the wall need to be the same. Just another perfectionist type thing. Do people actually care? Probably not, but we did anyways.
It's a plus. Yeah. It's a plus nonetheless.
Yes. So that cost us another $5,600 unexpected. And we were like, numbers were already so tight going into this house. We're like, man, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing it. So anyways, we fast forward, bathrooms get done. Tile work gets done, kitchen gets done, cabinets get installed, and it's starting to get really cold outside, and the furnace won't work. And I'm like, why? What is going on? Like, did I forget to pay the gas bill? Because we've got so many properties that happens all the time. And so turns out it was not that. The furnace had to be replaced. Several $1,000s on that as well. So a couple more days go by. We're finishing touches. We've taken out the wall. We've done this gorgeous brand new kitchen with granite countertops and matte black sinks and fixtures and all new light fixtures in all the rooms, new carpet, new paint. We wanted to have a New Year's party there. Show everybody the new Airbnb. We go to turn hot water on. No hot water. Hot water heater's gone out too. So that was another $1,300 literally 3 days ago. So all that to say, your numbers aren't always going to be the same. And when we bought this, it's very important to run your numbers based on what your end goal is. And our end goal was to sell it. So it was okay to have some room for error, not near as much error as we had on this one. I think that we ended up putting probably about $70K into it, but now I'm in love with it and I can't get rid of it. So now we're going to Airbnb it, which if anybody wants to do that in City of Independence, feel free to call me because it is a strenuous process. Holy moly. We're almost through it though. We had the fire chief come out today and inspect it. So we go into our hearing on February 13th and they tell us yes or no.
Well, God willing, it's a yes.
Yeah. Believe it or not, every time I tell somebody this, they're like, what? That's a thing? They send letters to all the neighbors within 180 feet. The neighbors have the option to show up to this hearing and say, no, we don't agree. We don't want it. So you essentially have to plead your case on why you think it would be good for the community, how it'll bring revenue to City of Independence, all of this jazz. They also put a sign in the yard displaying the hearing. And if you have any comments or complaints, then you're welcome to come to the hearing.
Wow.
So we're hopeful. We have a good relationship with the neighbors. Yeah. So we're just hopeful that'll work out.
I love it. I love it. Look, the real estate game is not for the faint of heart, but if you're a hustler, if you're somebody who's a grinder, somebody who's willing to learn, change up their behaviors, connect, network, conversate, build relationships, then it might be a good industry for you.
Firm believer in your network is your net worth.
That is a fact. I've been hearing that since I was 10, and to this day, it stands as a 100% fact. Any nice little hits of some bread, or any nice, and maybe it wasn't even bread, maybe it was just an opportunity to learn. Maybe it was an opportunity to be exposed to something that changed my perception on life and opportunities and what I can achieve, has always been through just knowing or being open to talking to people. So it's extremely valuable. There's so many books out there, so many people willing to help you guys. That is why we do this podcast, so I can expose you guys to individuals like Sadie, like Britt, like all the hundreds of people I've had on the show, so that you guys can reach out to these people and be like, hey, I want to learn more about this space. Can I have 10 minutes of your time? Or can I buy you a coffee for 15 minutes of your time?
We got a lot of that recently too, because everyone sees the flips and everybody wants to do one. And unfortunately, we only have so much time.
Yeah.
5 projects, including the one that we're getting ready to go on a contract tonight that we're trying to do at once. So we want to do one with everybody, but we just physically don't have the time or the funds to be able to do that many projects at once. So Chris just started this networking group that he's put together monthly. It's going to be at the Higher event space. The first one is actually this Saturday at 7 p.m. just to teach people how to do it. So that it's not like we don't want to teach or we don't want to help people. We just physically don't have enough time to do it with you.
Yeah.
But here's the tools and tips and tricks to where you can go get your first house and you can do it. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast episode with Sadie has brought me a lot of joy. I've known of Sadie obviously since high school, but her husband, Chris, and then some of the other gentlemen we've mentioned in the past few minutes in the podcast are individuals I've either hung around, played sports with, went to school with since we was young bulls. Like, we've known similar friends of ours who have passed away or had to go to jail or went through painful situations together, essentially is what I'm saying. And to see them transition through these periods of life, achieve these certain levels of success, and then turn it around and try to give back to their community, and also being active in their businesses, in the communities they grew up in, brings me a lot of joy. I know I wasn't smiling all big for y'all on the camera this whole podcast, but it's definitely brought me a lot of joy. I'm really happy for your success, seeing you hustle, grind, and just show up with like a smile on your face every day. I'm sure that every day doesn't really deserve a smile, but every time I get on the internet, you might be sharing a story that maybe could be perceived as negative, but you have a smile on your face, and you'll always end it with like some light, that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So continue what you're doing. Keep hustling, keep taking care of the babies, taking care of my mans, Chris. Just lots of love your way. But before we sign out for the day, plug people on where they can find you, and then I will ask the final question. So where can people find you on social media? How can they support you in your real estate quest and investment quest? And then I'll ask you my final question.
Yeah. So my biggest appearance, I guess, would be on Facebook, and it's just my business page is at The Real Estate Fam. Same thing on Instagram, same thing on TikTok. Trying to get better at video, not quite there yet, but Facebook, just Sadie Davis.
Hell yeah. And you guys already know the vibes. I'll link it in the description of the YouTube video, as well as the audio listening platform you might be using right now. The final question of the day is a question I ask every guest, and it is your last day on earth. You're 115 years old. You've lived a long life. You've invested in all the properties, had all the experiences, traveled, helped your kids do the cool shit that they've wanted to do. But now your great-great-grandchildren are sitting at your feet. They looking at the Nike sign on your feet, and they just like, great-great-great-grandma, what's one piece of advice on how to live a good life? What are you going to tell them?
Ooh. Shoot, that's a good one. Last piece of advice. I would probably say just to be an entrepreneur, because then they can really guide through their own life the way that they want, rather than being under somebody else.
I love it.
That's something really hard to learn, because it just sounds so powerful. Like entrepreneur, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Like, it's just too much. I can't do that. But when you realize how simple it really is, you gain so much freedom and mind space, I think.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, take accountability over your life. One of the greatest ways you can do that is through entrepreneurship. Have conversations, connect, network, make relationships, learn, read books, listen to podcasts, do the things necessary to prepare yourself for making that jump. Make sure you got some money in your pocket and a plan.
Yep.
Outside of that, this is the Voices of Value podcast. Your host, Collis Stutzer, signing out. Salud.